Hello, this is Lord Slaw here, coming at you with another video, and in today's video we'll be talking about the top 5 Master episodes. So the Master is a very important part of Doctor Who, first brought in John Pertwee's era, after a few attempts at making rival Time Lords like the Monk or the War Chief, which, they were good, but weren't quite the adversary that the Master became. And he's become kind of a staple in Doctor Who. Well, I don't think they've quite managed to make him as good in the new series, with John Sim really not being the Master at all, and Missy being slightly better, but again, not quite the Master really. But Ainley and Delgado did it best, and I didn't actually mind the one in the TV movie, even though a lot of people say it was crap. And yeah, he wasn't the best, but I see the Master as him more than Gomez or Sim, so he's got that going for him. He's got that going for him. But anyway, this is the top 5 Master episodes. So at number 5 we have The Mark of the Rani. Not exactly the best episode ever, but it's fairly enjoyable, and that's due to the main kind of characters in them interacting, like Colin Baker with George Stevenson. It's a great combination. It's really fun to watch, especially as I'm from the northeast, and George Stevenson's one of the few famous people from the northeast of England, so that's quite fun to watch. And they actually got a Geordian to voice him and act him as well, which is very good. But mainly the point that we're focusing on here, because it's a top 5 Master episode, is the interaction between the Master and the Rani. It's absolutely excellent and fun to watch. I don't know why these two characters just interact so well. Kind of the Master's manipulative side to try and invade places, where the Rani's more just kind of cruel, clinical approach to life, where she doesn't really care about lives, but then also doesn't just want to take over the world. She just enjoys science. And that's kind of an interesting dynamic with the Master, with her kind of just thinking of it as a complete idiot, whereas he's just like using, like, bribing her to try and get him to help her. It's a good relationship. It's fun to watch, and I think that's kind of why I put it in at number 5. So at number 4 we have Frontier in Space, an excellent, underrated third Doctor story. Even though it can feel a little rushed at the end, it's a very good one, and the Master plays a really good role with manipulating the two forces, the Draconians and the Earth Empire, to try and fight each other. Sounds familiar? A certain Mind of Evil seems to spring to mind, a certain Cold War. But yeah, it was basically the Cold War, and then Mind of Evil was actually the Cold War, funnily enough, even though there wasn't actually that much mention to the Cold War. But anywho, it's a really good story. The Master gets his final appearance, like Roger Delgado's final appearance, and it's quite a good one. I love just how he interacts with, like, the Draconian King, the Earth Empire, how he manages to just get them on his side. Well, at least the Earth Empire. He kind of struggles to get on the side of the Draconians because John Pertwee knows the Draconians better, which, that's pretty good. Just kind of shows how cultured John Pertwee's character was, like, because he was always getting on with the locals and stuff. And plus he hires the Ogrons this time. I like how he interacts with the Ogrons, because he's just like, you blundering idiot. And it's always fun to see the Master shout at people, and not just the shouting, but all the other reasons I mentioned is why this comes in at number 4. So at number 3 we have the aforementioned Mind of Evil. What an excellent story, and what an episode to put out during the Cold War, even though I don't think there's actually any Russians. There's certainly Chinese, but no Russians. But it's a really good episode, well written, well paced. I love kind of the part in the prison and also in the conference, but mainly the prison. The prison break's kind of the best. And for just this moving machine, that machine's quite scary. But anyway, we're here to talk about the Master, and I like his appearance in this because he wears a suit, he smokes a big cigar in a car while telling people what to do, while wearing disguises. I think he was disguised as a postman or something. I don't know. It was fun. It was a really fun episode to watch, and the Master played a very good role in it. And I like how he kind of just got on well with the criminals at Stagmore Prison. It worked well. It was a very good episode to watch, and just really reflects the era of the Cold War and how easy it was to kind of manipulate both sides into killing each other, and how the Master was going to take advantage of that. And yeah, so that's why it comes in at number 3. So at number 2 we have the Daemons. Kind of another one where Pertwee and the Master are kind of trying to win over a certain big force to their side. And yeah, this one's a really good one. It's got a lot of satanic vibes, and let's face it, if anybody's gonna have some good satanic vibes, it's Roger Delgado being the Master. It works really well. Azal's quite a cool character, and I like how Azal doesn't really care about the humans particularly. He's more decides on who's more worthy of the two characters rather than what their intentions are when deciding, what should be done about planet Earth, is he's kind of disappointed with it. And yeah, the Master's one of his most manipulative in this story, which makes it really good. The Master's always best when he's being manipulative, well, at least most of the time, but certainly in this story, he does it very well. I just like how he gets all the villagers on his side, riles them up, gets them to get the Doctor at stick point. I don't know, that famous image from the Daemons where there's got the men in newspaper with the sticks around his neck. I don't know. I haven't watched the episode in quite a while, but I do remember it, and obviously I need to remember to put it as high a spot as number 2, and I do, and it's a very good story. The Master's great in it, and it does come in at number 2 indeed. So just one honourable mention today. I'd only thought there was one really worthy that kind of was in competition with number 5 to go on the list, and that is the Sea Devils. Again, this is kind of like Azal again, where it's both the Doctor and the Master trying to win over the Sea Devils. Eventually the Master does manage to get the Sea Devils on his side, but to their own demise, unfortunately for them. But the Doctor does try, and it kind of shows that the Doctor doesn't always win. I quite like when that happens. That happens a lot more in a classic series than New Who, where he seems to be some kind of god, which, he isn't. But yeah, the Sea Devils is a great episode. I think we all know that, especially if you watched Doctor Who in the 90s. I mean, I didn't, but I know that Sea Devils and Day of the Daleks was the only 2 episodes they ever shown on UK Gold, which, is quite annoying. But still, at least Sea Devils is a really good story. I won't mention Day of the Daleks because I'm not the biggest fan, but oh well. Sea Devils is an honourable mention. So coming in at number 1 is Survival. So you might be quite surprised by this, but I love this story. It's such a gem and such a nice way to round off the classic series. It wasn't like a big finale or something, to really top it off, but it was just a nice little round off with quite a good speech at the end, especially considering they didn't realise that this was going to be the end of the show. But anyway, the Master's done really well in it, because for once, where usually he just seems really overconfident and in his prime, just ready to tear shit up, in this story he kind of seems a little pushed, a little kind of not in his comfort zone. He's struggling, and that's an interesting dynamic to see when the Master's desperate, because he's infected with the cheetah virus, which usually just makes people go mad within a few days, whereas because he's a Time Lord, he's lasting ages, but it's slowly taking him over, slowly making him more mad. And it's quite good how he obviously is quite manipulative with the Doctor and his friends to try and get off the planet, and he does manage to manipulate them into doing that. And on top of it, in the end, no matter how much he tries, he ends up falling into the trap and just succumbing to the virus, which is quite interesting. And at the end, when they have that final battle on the Cheetah planet with him and the Doctor, and they nearly both die, well, the Master did kind of die, but then, since when has the Master stayed dead? That's kind of a thing we all know. But actually, the Master hasn't really died that much. He's died a few times, but he's died less times than Amy and Rory, and there's a good point. But still, Survival is an excellent story. I love the Master in it. I love the kind of just how desperate he seems. It's a good way to see the Master. He's like that in the Tom Baker Master episodes as well, where he's desperate to get a new body because his old one's withered. I'd really like to see more episodes like this, but anyway, that's why that comes in at number 1. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully I'll be able to make some more soon, and I hope you will come back for another one.